An arrest in the Ferguson police shooting. The subject of an HBO show is also in custody. I'm Ann Cates. A suspect is behind bars following last week's shooting of two police officers in Ferguson, Missouri. St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Robert McCulloch.
Jeffrey Williams, a 20-year-old man. He is now charged with 2 counts of assault in the first degree for the 2 police officers who were shot a couple days ago in Ferguson in front of the police station.
Robert Durst, a wealthy eccentric linked to 2 killings and his wife's disappearance, has been arrested on a murder warrant. He has been the subject of an HBO documentary on his life. Correspondent Shasta Darlington has more.
Well, according to his own attorneys, this stems to the brutal murder of his very close friend, Susan Berman. She was shot execution style in Los Angeles in 2000. They never charged anyone with her murder, and recently the Attorney General in Los Angeles reopened that investigation.
The price of oil has been retreating, now sitting at $45 a barrel. I'm Ann Cates. The Sunday talk shows have focused on a letter sent by 47 GOP senators to Iran about that country's nuclear talks with the U.S. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia expressed his disapproval of the move on CBS's Face the Nation.
It sure hasn't helped a thing. It hasn't helped one thing except drive us further apart. You know, the country is divided enough. We need to start bringing us together.
But Missouri's Republican Senator Roy Blunt tells ABC's This Week sending the letter was the right decision.
Yeah, I'd been saying for a year, and what the Senate Foreign Relations Committee's been saying for 6 months, which is there is a constitutional role here for the Senate if you want this agreement to be permanent, binding, and long-term.
If you're in the market later this year to buy a new car or take out a mortgage, Federal Reserve policymakers gather this week in Washington and at the conclusion of the session are expected to no longer pledge patience when it comes to raising short-term interest rates. That could mean a hike in interest rates as early as this June. I'm Ann Cates.
Johnny wants to be a performer, and everybody knows school costs money. Johnny wants to know what he has to do to become a performer. Plus, he needs experience before he decides to spend the money for school. Johnny's confused. He has no one to talk to about his choices. He then hears an ad on the radio about Media8tor Arts Academy, where he can perform, network, train, and find a place to prepare for school. Johnny has found a place to expand his talents to make his decision and also increase his resume. Now, let's explain how Johnny got signed up. He went online to Media8inc.com and clicked on register. They called him back, asked him what his vision was, then found a place for him to perform. Whether it's theater, music, or movies, as long as Johnny is willing, Media8inc.com is able. And that's the story of how Johnny became a performer through Media8 Arts Academy.
Talk about serious gaming. Correspondent Scott Carr tells us about an online video game that gives you one and only one life.
Some games have permadeath, where death causes you to lose a character forever. The fantasy role-playing game Upsilon Circuit is a bit more committed. If you lose, you can never play the game again. Still in development, but reportedly a buzz generator at Boston's PAX East show, Upsilon Circuit breaks ground in a few ways.
There is only one server, and there are only 8 people in the whole world ever playing the game at one time.
Game co-creator Calvin Goebel tells PC Gamer the game is really designed to attract spectators worldwide.
The game only runs for like 2 to 3 hours a day, and when somebody bites it in the game, we pick somebody from the audience to come and have their one go at living their life.
Goebel calls his creation a social experiment he can't wait to watch. I'm Scott Carr.
The #1 movie in the country is the new live-action version of Cinderella. It has brought in more than $70 million in its opening weekend. I'm Ann Cates.
Have you ever thought about publishing a book, but just didn't know how to do it? Well, at Media8, we try to make publishing simple. You ask questions, we give you answers. You want a book? We find the right option for you to publish. When you need advice about getting your methods out to the world, Media8 is the place to call. Register today at Media8inc.com, where we make ideas seem simple.
This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo. All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill. details, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The mediator is here.
All doctors to the ER. All nurses to the nurses station. Code blue 305.
10-4 engine, high engine 3 is desperate. Shots fired, officer down. I repeat, officer down. 911, what's your emergency? Backup is en route.
Evacuations continue tonight in Maribel.
Apartments, you can see this evacuation notice on one door.
Rolling, motion, roll sound, and action.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mediator. All my Ohioans and Pennsylvanians, Northeastern Ohio. We have my good man on the phone. We have Adam Foutz. He's going to talk about the life of a Marine. He's going to speak about his books. We have Alisha Sparks in the studio with us as usual, my lovely assistant. Adam, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. It's an honor to have you on the show. This show means more to me than I probably did more prep for this show than I did any show, since it's a fellow brother Marine on the phone. I was a Navy vet, so we can definitely chat it up. We got a lot of relation, a lot of things to talk about. First thing I want to do is I want to introduce how long the Marines have been around. The Marines have, for all you listeners out there, the Marines have been around for over 239 years. Yes, it is. It's a long time. So, Adam, just for just like to bring us in, could you tell us a little bit about your life as a Marine? What have you learned so far?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll kind of go back into the history of it all. So, I actually got started as a Marine. I was going through church and everything, trying to figure out my life and just praying about just my future and what that looks like. And my youth pastor challenged me to find God's plan. And the recruiter called me up. I mean, it didn't just work out from there. There were things I had to get through. But long story short, I ended up getting approved to get in. And one thing it's really done for me is just challenged me. It's helped me to be more confident in who I am, but ironically also teach me more about humility and servanthood. So
yeah, when I was reading, I did some research here on a book that I think is Patrick K. O'Donnell had wrote, and there was another author on here who had wrote about the Marines. They were talking about the complexity of the training, the ability for you guys. I think you guys have the longest boot camp in the military, which is like 12 weeks.
Wow.
So
13 weeks.
Yeah. So tell us how you got. How long have you been in, Adam?
It'll be 9 years in July.
Oh, 9. Wow. You almost made it to the lifer, man. So tell us what training with boot camp was like for you, man.
Yeah. So ironically, I grew up in a kind of in the ghetto area, if you will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was doing a lot of remodeling throughout my time from middle school to high school, and she's a single mother of 5 kids. So a lot of it was, we moved into this home. Ironically, our rug got ripped up, so we had cement flooring until we could get some new flooring in.
Yeah.
Right.
Walls are getting redone and all that. So you got 5 kids and mother in the same house. A lot of energy, a lot of fighting and stuff.
A lot of personality.
Yeah, I know your sister, man. She's a fighter, so I know that. So that's, you say when you got there, it was like just pretty much like a part of your life, huh?
Yeah, it was really just like I was walking into what I already grew up.
Right, which you already knew and were familiar with.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
It's ironic, yeah.
I have a question for you. So is the whole entire experience with the Marines, do you find that this is something that every American man should experience or should serve for?
That's a great question. I forget how I got chills thinking about it. So, me and my wife, we had an opportunity to travel. I had an opportunity to go out throughout the world. And I was in Okinawa my first 2 years in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even before that, just going through boot camp and just seeing, I had friends that are Hispanic that weren't native to America.
Mm-hmm.
They had the opportunity to serve and also become native citizens, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And just people from Haiti, just all over the world. And what I learned in my travels, going from Okinawa to Nashville, Tennessee, to just doing road trips across the United States, one thing I realized that separated me from the rest of the world was, my home was no longer in Ohio. It wasn't just on base in Okinawa, but I truly enveloped, I guess, if that's the right term, what it means to be an American. It's like I'm not a Californian, I'm not a Tennessean,
right?
Yeah,
all of that, and the Marine Corps and the military in general kind of helps you get out of your comfort zone and learn about the new
Explore.
cultures and new ways of life, and just allow you to have a greater appreciation for life in general.
They say that the Marines, like when it comes to the Marine life, that Marines are more adapted to the media. Like they talk to the media more than Navy veterans. They talk to the media, and a lot of reporters, like when I was doing my research on this topic, they talk about how Marines are the centerpiece. Like they have a real nice personality. They have a lot of confidence.
Is that why you had them come on the show?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that when I was reading, because they say, like, they talk about how Navy guys, like, we're always like
very stern.
Yeah, just our faces, like our facial expressions. But they say when you talk about the Marines, you bring them on, they're the most professional, they're family oriented. And the funny thing is, Adam, is when I was reading about the training, it was talking about how at boot camp there's like a different, like you got city boys, you got guys who have never gotten fights before, and how you guys initiate them into the Marine life.
What's that like?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know.
How do you get initiated?
What's that initiation?
How do you get initiated to be a Marine?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it an initiation phase, but you know, a lot of it is just learning how to die to yourself. You know, it's no longer about you; it's about the men and women to your left and your right.
Yes.
And I mean, from day one, you know, your leadership kind of harps that into you. I mean, for my example, my lifestyle, I had a unique situation. I had a drill instructor that was, it's called a receiving drill instructor. He takes care of you the first 3 days.
Nice.
But I'm up at night. I'm helping him out. Essentially, he's in what's called the senior drill instructor hut.
Yeah.
Drill instructor hut. And I'm filing paperwork for what I didn't know at the time would be later for our graduation, for letters for our family and stuff.
Yeah.
He's on the phone talking about really his life and things he's going through. And, you know, he's having an argument with one of his friends. And it really dawned on me. I'm like, wow, like, these people are just normal people.
Yes.
Yeah, they're here to teach me how to be successful. So, and I had a unique situation. You know, not everyone else got to deal with that. But what I learned in that moment was, you know what, these people are going to teach me what I need to be, what I need to do to be successful.
Yes.
So anything they tell me to do, I'm going to do with blind faith.
Right.
Yeah. I know at the end of the day that they're going to help me survive. You know.
And you know what's amazing, Adam, is I realized that when I was in the military about my Uncle Keith. Like I would the life. I think the life of a soldier is so hard sometimes because we don't get to show a lot of emotions. We don't get to be like, you know what I'm saying, Sparks? Like we don't get to be out in the crowd all the time.
Right.
And we're always, they say that Navy veterans are always stand to themselves.
Yeah.
So one night I was over my Uncle Keith. My Uncle Keith was a chief, to give everybody a story. My Uncle Keith was a chief when I was in the Navy. And, I would stay with him on the weekends, you know. So one night I went in his room and I found a picture on the side of his bed of his family, you know, and I felt what he had felt as a soldier. This was rough for me because I'm like, this man is going through something, but he doesn't have anybody to talk to.
Right.
How do you get through those situations, Adam? In that sense?
That time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you kind of repeat that one more?
Well, you know, like, is there like, how do you let out, like, when you don't get to see your family?
What's your outlet?
Yeah.
What is your outlet? What is your outlet?
So you know, so kind of give you a little story of my life. I was in Okinawa my first 2 years. My wife, she grew up in an amazing Christian home.
Nice.
Helped inspire my faith in my life.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know, she's off in college. I'm out overseas, and you know, we kind of made a pact that, hey, you know what, like, we weren't going to get involved in alcohol or anything like that, but it's helped to keep us pure.
Yeah, that is.
Right? And yeah, just to challenge ourselves. But in that time, you know, I still needed that. You know, it was hard. It was hard. My heart was in the U.S. and here I am in another country.
Right.
But you know, I really connected with the Marines. That I was living in the barracks at the time. I'd go out to the bars and stuff. We'd hang out, just have a good time, and
that was your outlet.
They were kind of curious about my lifestyle, like why I wasn't drinking and stuff like that. And my faith played a lot in that part, but as well as my relationship with my wife now. So yeah, just being able to, you know, I started getting into music. Started writing some silly songs.
Good.
You gonna spit some hot fire for us,
right? We are on the radio.
Yeah. We gonna talk a little bit about that shortly. But Sparks' brother, she told me on the way up here, her brother was in the Navy. I didn't know that.
In the Navy.
Talk about your.
I feel like you know, as far as referencing to family and, you know, being in any type of services, I find that it's very difficult. And at the time time, there's 15 years between my brother and I. And at the time, I was very, very young. But I did understand what was going on. And I understood that, you know, what he wanted to do was going to bring honor to his name, honor to our family, and, you know, bring a good service to our nation. And it was very, very much so understood that in my family, I grew up in a Christian home as well. And, you know, we also surrounded our faith and our belief system around God and, you know, keeping him protected and making sure that, you know, we were all still bonded together no matter what he went through. So I can identify with that.
Sparks is such a sweet girl, Adam. You used to see her in person.
Thank you.
All the men just love her. They're like, oh, is Sparks going to be around this weekend?
Well, they can't see me on the radio, so they don't even need to know.
Yeah. So, Adam, now, before we get into your personal life, I wanted to talk about, because the Marine, just like the Navy, is an allegiance to protect the Constitution of the United States. A lot of people don't understand what that means. So when you see, what do you feel about, now I know it's our code of conduct not to, we're not supposed to rebel against the officers who are running the country, the politics and things like that. But just give it in a just a medium standpoint, what you feel about the guys running the country right now. Do you think they're supporting the Constitution?
You know, I'd rather not even get into that, honestly.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Not at all.
I would say this, 2 Timothy 2:4 says, no one serving as a soldier gets entangled in civilian affairs, but rather tries to please his commanding officer. And one thing they talk about is just being a silent professional. You know, obviously I'm a servant to this country, which in the Marine Corps, you know, we're the one force that is directly under the President of the United States. So whatever he says, I mean, that's
what goes.
That's what we're called to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Marine Corps is like a culture of like, you get like a lot of some of them have like a real hard time. Like, I think I've read about some suicides, but I think they talk about how the Marine Corps has been able to last so long and still be able to maintain, like, out of all the branches, the Marine Corps, the uniforms, they've kept that tradition for so long, even in recruitment. I mean, the brotherhood, most of their drills is centered around cohesiveness and establishing, you know, and they haven't really had a lot of problems with integration. I mean, you guys are in Parris Island. What is that? That's in South Carolina. So tell us a little bit about your art life now, a little bit. What is your favorite Marine movie or your favorite wartime movie?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. I'm about to get into his personal life a little bit.
I like it.
Oh, you know what? Favorite wartime movie? Honestly, I'm not even certain. I'm not really a big movie.
Well, I'm gonna throw some out there for you. You can just say, you can just either give me up or down. Did you?
The one that comes to mind is Heartbreak Ridge, and we're actually required to watch that. I'm a supply Marine, so we learn about the administrative, the accounting, and logistics side of the military. So it's cool for me because you learn essentially how to run the business of the military.
Nice.
Okay, all right.
That's very nice.
But one thing they make a reference in there that talks about what's his name? Clint Eastwood makes a comment.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I forgot to submit my tea, you know, and and what that is your total force structure, like what your your required personnel as well as your required weaponry. You know? How that combines to create a unit. So it kind of resonates with my heart because that's what I do. I track gear across the world and I handle the finances.
Nice.
So now before like I said, I would talk to you about your personal life. Now the Marine Corps has, like I said, they've been involved with a lot of freedom and they've had diversity problems. And what I was learning from the research is that you guys, the Marine Corps, has been involved with some issues, some wars over in Africa as well. So just like I tell everybody about the Navy, when you go into the military, there's like a code of conduct where they don't really talk about race a lot. They don't really talk about diversity. Everybody's a union. So when you make that transition into the civilian world, it's kind of rough, you know. So what advice would you give the people, the Marines who are about to be discharged into the, since you've been,
going from where you are, integrated back into normal society or regular society. I get where you're coming from.
So I'm just trying to say, like, what would you take? Because sometimes I see brothers out here, I go to the YMCA, and they're still trying to have a hard time making that transition. And I and myself had it was like a real hard transition, you know, like it was tough because you couldn't be as aggressive. And everybody's everybody's like so undisciplined sometimes.
Right.
So when you make that, when you see like your because I know you've had some experience in leadership positions. When you see that the guys you're in charge of, they have to make that transition. What advice do you give them as a mentor?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one thing I like to do with my Marines is I like to look at their personal life as well as their professional.
Yeah.
Because it's really, as a Marine, you're a Marine 24/7. It's all encompassing, and the reality is as you kind of hinted on that, is the idea that, the stuff that's ingrained in you from the time that you're in,
yeah,
is going to carry with you when you get out. You know? And what I learned, and I got a psychology background. I'm actually going through industrial organizational psychology. So you learn about these subcultures in the United States, and the military is one of those subcultures. And you got to learn this new lingo of the real world. You're no longer a part of that subculture. You're trying to ingrain yourself into what is essentially America, So what I try to do for my Marines really just sit down with them, get to know them on a personal level, and say, hey, what are your professional and personal goals? Do you want to go to college? Do you want to have technical skills?
Right.
What is it that you want to pursue? And I had them write out their goals, and I also, anytime they're messing up in the professional sense, I relate it back to, hey, you know what? You were late today, and you know what that means is essentially it means that you don't care to build this business.
Right.
Business owner, you always got to be on time.
That's right.
Yeah.
So.
That's good. That sounds real good.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that is sweet, ain't
because
it?
he doesn't have to do that, And I really feel like you really care enough to find out what their long-term goals are, so that you're not spinning wheels, and they feel like they're working towards something that's going to be beneficial for later on in their future. So I commend you for that, because not everybody looks at
Yeah, and
like
I see what you're saying, Spark. Because when I was, I just had a lot of mentors when I was in, so that does makes a lot of sense. What did you think about the Chris Kyle incident, Adam?
Honestly, I don't know too much about it. I do know what I hear on the media. I try to do my own research. I did read an article by the Muslim gentleman that he was the interpreter that he was working with. He gave a good report of Chris Kyle. I think there's a lot of, I don't know. When I honestly haven't even seen the movie American Sniper, but even talking to my wife and her going through the thing, just us going through similar situations as far as. And I'll give you a prime example. I was in Okinawa, Japan. I had the opportunity to help train with the National Army. So we're preparing them to essentially take over their country.
Right.
And the history of these guys is that a lot of them were a part of a war between Afghanistan and Russia. So they have a lot of history. The difference is the not democratic, but the democracy of war. They don't have that type of foundation that America has. So we're trying to instill that leadership and those ideologies into them and take that back into their country so that they can run it themselves. So it was really on my heart to go to that country and help them rebuild it. And essentially what happened it's kind of even hard to talk about now.
I just like the way you're approaching the questions, man. You can tell you've been I said when I was reading because you can tell the difference from the sailors and the Marines. Even though the Marines, you guys kind of live off our luxury all the time, but I could tell.
That's what you're gonna say, really?
No, I can just tell. You can tell the difference though, because if that was a sailor, he'd have jumped. But Chris Kyle, no, because when I watched American Sniper, this is a Navy SEAL. I was around a lot of Navy SEALs when I was training.
Right.
So. That were training Navy SEALs, potential ones. They didn't really. We don't get to mingle with the Navy SEAls. I had to get put in a headlock by one of them when I was. I was drowning, Sparks.
How was that?
While you're talking, I'm not surprised. No.
Exactly.
Exactly. No, listen. I was drowning. And
I got it.
And he was trying to save me, so I was trying to get above water, and he choked me up. I say, man, and he was choking me up, man. So
That's an experience.
Yeah, but
that's an experience.
That was just my experience. But when I'd heard the story about when I'd actually went to go see the movie. One of the veterans at the YMCA said, "Man, you better go see this movie." He said, "If you don't go see this movie, then you're not a part of the family."
Oh,
yeah, that's what he told me.
He's gonna disown you, huh?
Yeah, my mother's like anti-war. She doesn't want me. She doesn't want me relapsing or anything.
I get it.
So she's like, but I had to go see it. But I was touched by it, and
it's not to cut you off, but it's interesting you should say that. That you do you find yourself staying away from watching movies like that so that you don't relapse?
See, I always, and this is what I'm telling you, Adam, when you make the transition back to civilian.
Mm-hmm.
What I've learned to do, Adam, is I've learned to try to keep myself busy as much as I can, because you don't want to drift, you know, because you see, I try not to watch the news as much as I used to. I try not to feel like I'm on the battlefield. Like I told you, I had an incident a few days ago.
Yeah.
Where that killer instinct,
it was about to come right back out.
And I didn't. In the Navy, we're taught to work.
Right.
Like we have to do so much brain power, but we're also taught to, you know, the same, just pretty much the same as Marine. Like we have to. You're a warrior on the battlefield.
Yes.
So what I do is I just practice. And I think my faith has a lot to do with that.
Yes.
As being raised in the church, so I was actually reading about that too, Adam, about how Marines, you guys have a time and set where you guys actually go to church. It's pretty much like the Navy.
That's awesome.
So tell us, I mean, I told you my side, Sparks. I confess. Now, Adam, you will have to make the transition life. So let's talk about your arts a little bit, Adam. You've been writing and you've been singing songs. Tell us a little bit about your books. Let's get into that.
Well, I'll do that, but I do want to get back to that question just for, I guess, for the audience.
So
you didn't even let him answer it.
I was trying to help him out. He was dodging.
Hey, you know, what are the thoughts? But I'll just say this. I mean, there's a human side. You know, when I was in Okinawa, I wanted to train. I was motivated. You know, you're in that environment, and you see your brothers and your sisters going out there, and you want to make sure you're contributing, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Long story short, you know, my wife's cousin ended up committing suicide, and I was
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's I was torn between, you know, I was already set up for a deployment. I was like, do I go, you know, with my mind being back in Ohio, like, how do I go now? My wife always supported me, but now it's like her mind isn't there, you know, and mine isn't there anymore. So it's not right for my Marines to have to deal with, you know, how am I supposed to lead men in combat and help lead this platoon of the Afghan National Army when
your mindset is...
I'm not there, you know what I mean? So there's a human side, and you know, you got to be able to be real with yourself and say, hey, you know what, like, and talk to your leadership. And a lot of the time, I mean, majority of the time they understand. I mean, regardless of what you see, you know, like on Full Metal Jacket and stuff like that, there's a time and place for that, and that's very much necessary.
Well,
there's a human factor.
So it's a balance.
Yeah, it is.
It's a balance.
So. My goal, Adam, from this interview, I wanted to get to personal life. I really didn't want to get into. That's why I've been really kind of.
No, I understand. I just wanted. I figured you asked the question.
I mean, I want to get your take. I want to see how the life of a Marine is. I don't want to get into the combat side because I don't want to see it, and a lot of Americans. They don't really know what goes on. Yeah, they don't know what goes on. So I wanted to get the personal side of what you're actually feeling. You know, and when you do see, when I seen that film, I think I was more hurt by when he had came home, and it kind of hurt me because I felt that feeling when I got home.
You could identify with that.
Yeah. And I just want to make sure that, Adam, when you come home, you could always talk to me or anybody, you know, because
you can call us anytime.
You need that brotherhood. I'm serious, because civilians do not know what you're going through, and they don't understand. I think like the mind of a soldier is always like, man, like
it's mental process.
Yeah, like we're fighting, and you come home and you're like, what am I fighting for?
Exactly.
And I think that's what every soldier battle with. So that's why I'm saying, Adam, we're gonna keep this interview between brother to brother. We just gonna keep it personal. I want to talk about your life. We're not really gonna get into the battlefield questions.
I think it's nice that we do speak to him about his personal life, because I think it's important that the general public does understand where your mental state is, and how it goes in your personal life and experiences with being a Marine. Myself being a woman, and you know, not really being connected to any Marines, I don't know. So I'm very intrigued to find out what that does entail.
All right, now let's talk about a lot of people don't know that the Iwo Jima, that flag that's being raised, those Marines. So let's talk about your art life. Now, you've talked about how you've written 2 books, Adam, and you've also been involved with some music. Talk about your books a little bit. What are your books about?
Yeah, so, and I mean, I'm glad you're asking that. I guess first and foremost, you know, you talk about the idea of, you know, transitioning, and then this is what's kind of really helped me. It's been I love writing, so it's really helped me bridge that gap between military and civilian life, and just kind of be able to reach a new audience in a sense, to connect with new people.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been incredible, and I think what's ironic is that you know, learning about Method 8, it's pretty cool to see that the intention was to help
That's been it from day one.
Yeah.
And I was reading. Tell us the title of your books, Adam.
Yeah, so the first one is it's called All in the Dog's Day, A Day in the Life of Mr. Wiggins. And basically what that book is about is, and I'll give you a little history on that. I was sitting at church one day, and I was praying. I was like, hey, God, I really just want a new way to kind of influence.
Right.
I have a new area of influence. And I felt like he was speaking to me in the middle of the service. He's like, write a children's book. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. He'll do that. He'll do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we were in California at the time, and we're sitting there, like, I can't even, like, pay attention to the worship music or the pastor. I'm just sitting there laughing.
Right. You went to church, and you got what you needed.
Got the vision, yeah.
I got the vision, yeah.
Right.
So, I'm like, all right, like, I tell the pastor about it, and, the first thing is you start thinking about your own ideas, and the ironic thing is, I had a 45-minute drive from San Diego up to where I was staying at in Oceanside. So, I was telling my wife about it, and the whole time I was driving and brainstorming. My mind was going, and we get up to the doorstep, and our little Pomeranian's waiting for us. And every day we ask ourselves, like, hey, what have you been doing all day? So yeah, we ended up just writing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. We were agreeing with you.
I'm into your vision.
I see it. I
see your vision. You said you was into, because that's pretty much that's like I think. Mine came from just I just kept it writing. I just stayed writing. So you're pretty much, yours is similar, but I think I just grew up with that habit of like
that was your outlet.
Going to the arts.
Right.
I want to say a quick tag real quick. Method8.com if you want to donate to the program. That's www.method8inc.com. We are talking with my man Adam Foutz. That's how you Foutz, right? Foutz, am I correct?
Foutz, yeah.
Yeah, and he is a Marine. He has written several books. He's actually out active duty right now. He took the time out of his day to chat with me and Sparks.
Hey.
So we're talking about his book. What's the titles of those books again?
All in the Dog's Day, A Day in the Life of Mr. Wiggins. So Mr. Wiggins is my Pomeranian, and basically, from start to finish, I would go from the time he wakes up throughout the day. He dreams about his girlfriend.
Nice.
And, he wakes up when we get home, and then at the end of the day, talks about him going to bed. So, and basically, he's a rescue dog, and the female dog that we mentioned in that book, there's like a little love relationship between him and her when we first picked him up, and we picked him up from a friend. And so what we try to do with this book is we try to get out there in the community. We worked with the Animal Welfare League in Maryland, and another organization, and really just try to help raise funds for, animal shelters and things like that.
It sounds like, I could tell by the sound of your voice, like, man, like, whatever they're training you, whatever they're teaching you, it's all for the greater good of this country. Because that takes a lot. I said, writing books is not hard, not easy, Sparks.
No, I know that.
I'll sit there, I'll tell you about my story. I used to sit in front of the computer, Adam, for like hours, and I would fall asleep on the floor, man. And so
put that time in.
And I'd have to write. It was like, God, I'm battling. Like, what do you? Because I know I'm not in front of this computer for nothing.
Right.
So he is like, I'd be like, give me a vision, and I would sit there. I'd lay there, and I'd get up. It'd be like 2:00 in the morning. I just get to write. Is that how it was for you? I mean, you wrote a children's book, so is that how it was for you?
It's funny. So a lot of my inspiration comes usually later in the evening. The children's book, literally, I sat down, I had the idea. I wrote the book in an hour, and then I had my wife edit it.
Nice.
Oh, wow. She helped you out.
Nice. That's teamwork.
She's my editor on all the books, yeah.
Oh,
that is sweet, man. I had to go to church to find me an editor. I had
to go get her in the church. Now, I have a question about Mr. Wiggins. Does he finish the love affair? Am I gonna have to read another copy, another version? Like, how does this story end?
Yeah, what's going on in the story? Tell us a little bit about the story, Adam.
Well, honestly, it's literally just a basic day in his life, and the love affair is because obviously she's not physically with him. He's dreaming about the dog.
Wow, that's deep.
That's cute.
So wait. Explain. Go from the beginning. I must have missed something.
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
No, I got it.
What's going on? I didn't get to. Your sister gave me the book. I didn't get a chance to read it.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, sorry. I
never
got a copy. I just did my research online, and I read your bio.
Adam, you're gonna have to send us a copy so we can read it.
We gotta know. So tell us what's going on in the story. You don't have to give the ending away, but explain the story, Adam.
Yeah, so literally he wakes up in the morning. He's waking us up like he does every morning. Wanting to go outside.
This is the dog, right?
This is the dog.
This is the dog,
Mr. Wiggins.
Okay.
Yes.
And yeah, he wakes us up. Me and my wife get ready for work, and as we leave, you know, he's running around playing with his treats and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he gets tired. He goes to sleep, and then he goes on his magical journey of his. He has this kingdom. We joke around when we're walking. Like every time he marks a spot, he's expanding his kingdom.
That's right. That's his territory.
Like, yeah, this little voice like, "Hey guys, this is the best day of my life."
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey Adam, can you do the rest of your interview in that voice?
Oh my gosh.
You want me to get Mr. Wiggins on the phone?
Yeah.
Tell us, you also wrote a book about self-publishing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is the kind of the cool thing about it. So all on the Dog's Day and Life of Mr. Wiggins. There was a captain in the Marine Corps that I worked with when I was with the recruiting command in Nashville, Tennessee. We didn't really work. I didn't really work under him. We were just kind of in the same office.
Yeah.
And obviously, the rank structure, I'm still under him regardless. But
right.
Yeah.
It was cool. So I left the unit. He was still there. He reached out to me. He's actually one of the first people to buy the book. He bought it on Amazon.
Okay. All right. That's a good.
Yeah, he gave me a 5-star review. I called him up, told him thank you, and it explained to me, his daughter was very excited about this book, not only because of the book, but because her father knew the author, and she's like, "Dad, I want to write my own book."
Wow.
So this next book is actually, and I try to do things very like I said, I handle finances in the military.
I just tell her we're not. Just say it, Adam. We're not paid a lot in the military. I already know. We're not giving.
I have to be very fiscally responsible. So
I already know.
I know your wife loves that. I know she loves it.
Just that's it. Just let it out, Adam. Everybody knows.
So basically, what happened is that I say, you know what? Like, instead of paying hundreds of dollars and publishing my first book, which was All on the Dog's Day,
Right. Okay.
I was like, I want to learn the process myself. So that's exactly what I did.
Same thing I did.
That's smart.
And hearing this little girl wanting to know how to do this, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to write this book for her. And then
that is awesome.
That's what you get from your veterans.
That's awesome.
We're always the last ones to leave the party, man. That's what I like about Adam. Adam, this is like I said, you got me all tangled up right now, man. I'm about to sit in here, man. Sparks about to slow dance to the music.
Hey, let's turn it on. I'm ready.
So, Adam, man. Now you're published, man, and like I said, you've done. Where can people find your books, and how can they support you?
Yeah, so you can actually go on Amazon. You can type in Adam, ADAMJ, and then my last name Foutz, FOUTZ.
Yeah,
and you can see all my books on there. There's two different versions of how to write and self-publish a book. There's a full color version. There's a black and white version. The difference is the cost because of the cost of printing.
Right.
If you actually go to createspace.com, and I could send you the link, but createspace.com, I get more royalties back, and I also provided a discount code so that everyone else gets a better price for the book. And the good thing about the difference about how to write and self-publish a book is it's not just steps on how to do it. Anyone can do that, but I'll have a disclaimer in there. I said, hey, you know what? Here's my email address. Send me an email, and I'll personally walk you through and help you along in your process.
That's really nice.
That's what you get from your vet. I had the same experience when I got out.
That's
man.
awesome.
I got out, and I started to learn. A lot of people gave their time. I think when I got out, Adam, man, I was like, I think I was kind of shell shocked, man, because you got out. And you know what's hard for me, Adam? I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, we got this new enemy, and a lot of people don't understand the terrorism that's going on. And in the Navy, we were always like on guard. And I think when I saw them hit the towers, so tell us. Now we talked about your personal a little bit. We'll talk brother to brother. Me and Sparks, she gonna give us her take on it from a female, from her point of view.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this new enemy that we got? They got ISIL, ISIS, or this new terrorist threat we got going on?
Yeah, so, and I'll be honest, I mean, I don't really want to talk too much about them, but I will say this, is that, again, I had the option to train, or the opportunity to train with the Afghan National Army.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very well-diverse in the world with the amount of people I've met from all over the world. So, me as a Christian, I've had the opportunity to meet, Haitians that practice witchcraft. I've met Muslims, I met the gentlemen I trained with were Muslims, and although, my faith is much different, there is a brotherhood, the fact that our lineages, everything goes back to Abraham, everything goes back to Adam and Eve. You can't dispute.
Yes.
And, even God, he points out with Ishmael, he did the role that culture is going to have in the world. And he said, hey, you're an offbreed of Abraham, I'm going to bless you, So,
right. Either way.
That's good. That's
good. So the irony is that, it's just the way that life is portrayed. I mean, I guess I would portray it no different than an extreme Christian, like the genocides that happened with, the guy that drinking the cyanide and all that.
Oh, yeah. You talking about in Syria?
Yeah, well, I back in the history, but here's the thing too, though. It is a threat. It's a threat to democracy. It's a threat to the Constitution. Our leadership has to do more as an American establishment to I don't want to say do more, but they are doing what they need to do. And
see,
it's hard.
I think
ideologies. Yeah, I just want to say their ideologies. I know for a fact that does not mirror what other Muslims are. So
okay.
I think what Americans are looking at is that, I mean, just when I saw it, I think I had such a hard time, and I think, to be honest with you, Adam, we train so hard as veterans, and I see when you see your brothers coming home and they're like, man, I just want to go home. I just want to go home.
Right.
And I think when you see more people you got to fight and they just keep popping up, it's just like a stale feeling inside. So when people are watching and they're getting angry, they want to do something, what is the most a civilian could do for a soldier who wants, because you get those care packages. Tell us what the civilians could do to keep that spirit of America in the soldiers, on the battlefield.
Yeah, so I think, the hardest thing, and I'm sure you've seen it, is that the news or propaganda that occurs, when individuals are out there. And I don't know. I mean, also, I don't have an answer.
Because I see a lot of civilians, they want to help out. Some of them they don't, because since you're active duty, I see a lot of things going on at home right now where veterans they're committing suicide. They're doing a lot of things that are just, not.
I mean, and not to interrupt you, but I feel like not everyone is in a place to receive it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Even being a soldier, coming home of any form, you have to be in the right form or the right wavelength and mental place to receive.
Yeah. So when I went to a transition class this week because I'm actually. I didn't mention this, but actually I have Crohn's disease, so I'm dealing with that and trying to balance my health and my life. And, I really love my job, but it's hard to even drive there because of the amount of fatigue, So,
well, thank you.
I'm going through these classes. I'm learning about the benefits that are available. And what I've learned is that it's not that the resources aren't there. It's just that not everyone is educated enough.
Yeah.
And
That's a good
there's really just, I don't want to classify people, but you got the individuals that seek knowledge, and they for me, I want to know before I get out what's available. And when my health started declining, I decided, hey, you know what? I can't build my body anymore, but I could build my mind. So I started using the tuition assistance, the $4,500 a month. Started tapping into my GI Bill just to kind of allow myself to, as I said before, bridge that gap between the military and civilian life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and just before you say it, I want to shout out the Veterans Commission and the VA because they worked a number on me. They would not give up on me when I got out.
Wow.
Yeah, they were on me like white on rice, man. They were calling, and I had to go visit there was a lady named Jean Marie. She was a PhD, a professor, and she would work with me one-on-one.
Wow.
And it was a mighty transition. So that's what I'm telling you, Adam. When you come out, man,
he said, "I'm here for you."
Yeah, because man, it was I had a lapse of time. I was working hard, but when I seen when the towers got hit, something came. It was like a overwhelming spirit. It was like because we felt like we had failed,
right?
And I think especially because we don't like, they train us not to lose.
Yeah.
And it was you don't want to lose. That's
even though it's not, directly reflected on you per se.
Yeah.
But as a whole and as a unit, I can understand you feeling like, oh, how did we let this happen?
Wow, yeah, that's how it was.
I can understand that. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But at the end of the day, all you can do is, move on and move forward and continue to prepare for the future.
Yeah.
And lay down foundations to rebuild and to allow, us to not let that happen again.
Absolutely.
So I totally understand that. But on a more lighter note, I have a question for you, Adam.
Yeah.
So you were saying that you were in Okinawa and you've been in a lot of different places around a lot of different people. So my question is, have you picked up any other languages? And also, did you pick up any cool things from other cultures that you still, enjoy to this day, or that you brought back to your family or your friends that you said was really, really cool? Like, tell me about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Brian mentioned the arts, and I've been writing since I was 8 years old. My mom listened to Journey.
That's cool.
My dad listened to the Beatles. So that was a part of my life.
Right.
And I remember sitting there with I had this green notebook and an orange colored pencil, and
Nice.
I put Journey on to start writing the lyrics to see if I understood what they were saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to say a tragic event, but me and my friends in 8th grade, we would write music and we put the lyrics up on a website.
Uh-huh.
And back then, that's when angelfire.com was popular, and
Wow.
your accounts were associated with your email address. But my mom's account got hacked. We lost everything. So I actually quit writing up until my time I got to Okinawa, and I was introduced to. Go ahead.
I was about to say you quit. I thought I was saying, you quit writing. That's rare. Why did you have a reason why you had stopped, or were you just busy?
No, I literally lost all momentum after.
Oh wow,
that's
deep.
We wrote 32 songs and we lost them all. So all because we put them on this website. But
so people can find your music now and everything. Is it still up on there?
I'm on ReverbNation.com.
Ooh,
okay,
that's big.
Yeah, it is.
I posted my first music video on YouTube.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you do
It's actually
this.
called Glitter Infusion. It's for it's kind of funny. I went on Twitter. I have a strong community of people with Crohn's and colitis.
Okay.
And so they were talking about this. A lot of the treatments that they say is out there that doesn't work and stuff like that. So they're just making jokes about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, we should write a song about this. And one of the advocacy ladies that I've been talking to, her name, her company is Empowering Patients. She's like, Adam Foutz can help you out. So I wrote a song that night, and I was like, I really want to put this on guitar. And I was able to do that, and I put a YouTube video up for them, and
Nice.
I kind of out that.
Nice.
Now, like I say, everybody, let me give a tag out. Method8inc.com if you want to support the program. Method8inc.com if you want to donate.
Definitely donate.
We're always on the battlefield with the arts, man. And I had to get my man Adam on the show. For the last 9 minutes, Adam, I want to talk about what's going on at home, and we're going to talk a little bit about the terrorist threat personally, just a little bit before we go. And then I'm going to give you another chance to talk about tell people where to get your books from. Okay, right now, with people, especially everybody doesn't understand, everything that goes on at home affects us overseas. So what I would like to see now from civilians is just to get along. You see a lot of diversity. You see a lot of division in the United States right now. I don't know if it's because of politics, but as a soldier, Adam, tell us what we're taught. We're taught unity, right? Honor, courage, commitment. I'm sure they teach the same thing in the Marines, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we turn on the news and we see people marching, you see
the division.
Yeah, you see the division. The spirit that I've always felt that we feel from the civilians affects us on the battlefield. Because when we're looking at each other on the battlefield, we don't want to see that division.
You can't have division.
You can't. No. Whether male or female,
right.
Whether African American or Caucasian or black or white, whatever you want to call it, right. Puerto Rican, Latino,
Hispanic.
You are out there, and no matter what you're doing, the enemy is trying to take you out. We don't understand why.
Right.
Everybody wants peace, but Adam, this is a big question I had, especially when you see ISIS, you see no matter what people do, people just can't seem to get along. Do you believe that we will ever see peace?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very general question.
Listen, I asked my reverend a long time ago. He said in the pulpit, I've seen a lot of reverends in the pulpit over my life, but he said that, I mean, we're all Christians. I said, I'm a Christian. We've all seen it. Most of us have been presented to the book.
Yes.
But he got up there one Sunday and he's given up on the belief that we will ever see peace.
Well, peace, I think, is a state of mind that it's different for everybody. What your idea of peace might be different from what my idea and what Adam's idea of peace may be. And at the end of the day, listening to both of you speak how you might watch TV and you do see the division, it gives me a different perspective and outlook on it, because me being, a regular civilian, I don't think about it that way. Me putting myself in your shoes, either or of you, and going off and fighting and then coming back, or, seeing what's going on here and the division that's going on, that quite frankly would completely upset me, because why am I fighting and we can't even be a unit at home, or we can't even agree to disagree and unite and be a whole front. So I never really looked at it that way. I didn't think about it that way.
Everybody wants peace. Every book that, when I was looking at the history of the Marines, every war they fought has been for either diplomacy or to go over there to try to help. Like even the wars in Africa, the war. I mean, they've been through a lot of. Marines have been around for a long time.
Right.
So every war I see, even the Navy SEALs, every mission that the Americans vote on has been to go over to settle something. When Hitler was doing his raid,
right.
So the vision of peace is there because we're always trying to get it. We're always trying to gain it. So I guess what I'm trying to ask you, Adam, is how do you feel as a soldier? What is peace to you? I mean,
that's a good question.
Yeah, my vision of peace is seeing how me and Sparks are collaborating right now, and see, what I'm saying, and seeing people work together.
Right.
When you go home, seeing people trying.
Yeah,
you see that look in their eyes.
Right.
So what is your vision of peace, Adam?
Yeah, so and I just wanted to make it clear. I mean, everything I'm stating is my own. This is the beliefs of Adam Foutz. It's not the belief of the institution I work for and anything like that. But when I look at my faith and things like that, it's like we as Christians, our goal is to bring heaven on earth, and that's what it's meant.
Yes.
So I think that peace is, as it was stated earlier. I mean, peace is a state of mind. If you want peace, you can have it. Like I think about the time when Jesus is he's in Bethesda, and he's there's the man that wants to fall into the lake, but every time I do, everyone else rushes in before me, and Jesus just asked him, he's like, do you want to be made well? He's like, yes. He's like, all right, then get up and walk.
That's
exactly.
deep.
Exactly, and that's how it is in life and anything and everything across the board. If you can mentally come to peace with it in your mind, you can make it happen. If you think that it's something that you can accomplish, you can make it happen. And it also goes two ways. If you think negatively and you think you can't do it, then you won't do it. It's all about your mental space and your mental peace. I completely agree with you.
So that's real kind of divine. It's kind of we can hit on some deep stuff, but
we're getting there.
Yeah, but I want to give you a last shout out for your books. Like I said, everybody listen to The Mediator. I'm your host, Brian West, Alisha Sparks. Method8inc.com if you want to support. Before we close out, Adam, we still got a few minutes left in the show. Tell people where they can get your books from. I want you to give the name and where they can get it from. You said Amazon.com. Can they get it from anywhere else?
Yes.
Yeah, they could go to Books of Millions. You can go to Barnes and Nobles. Everything's online.
So if we type in your information,
All in the Dog's Day in the Life of Mr. Wiggins.
Yes.
The second book is How to Publish and Write a Book by Adam J. Foutz. And again, if you just type in my name,
it'll pop up.
Last name Adam ADAM J and then FOUTZ into any of those search engines, you'll find my books.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can do the same for ReverbNation.com to find my music, or even go to YouTube and type the same thing. So
cool.
Now you're about to have
out there.
You're about to have a child, Adam. So
congratulations.
Yeah, she's gonna look at her daddy. She's gonna tell all her friends at school, my daddy's an author. He serves in the military. Things
That's
like that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
Not everybody's accepted for the all volunteer force, man. So I mean, you made it through. That's a big accomplishment once you make it through boot camp. I see some people cry, break down.
And he's been there 9 years.
9 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got through 3 years and got jacked up. I'm so sorry, Sparks.
Hey, 3 years is an accomplishment as
I
well.
got 3 years and then got jacked up. I was sitting in the hospital in Puerto Rico trying to get back on the battlefield. I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's so sad, man. But Adam, you're still chugging along, man. We had a good show, Adam. We're down to the last minute. I want to thank you. I want to shout out your family, your sister who's always supporting you. I want to shout out all my Youngstownites, all these people in Ohio. We had a great show, Adam. I thank you for coming on, for giving your time.
Yes.
Again, this is Method8inc.com, The Mediator, with me, your host, Brian West and Alicia Sparks. We come up next week. We're going to be chatting with my friend, Kristen Olney. She's going to come and talk about the life of a politician. She published a book too. So Adam, like I said, you're not alone in the publishing world. Where do you plan on coming back when you get out?
Yeah, we're actually going to stay where we are right now. I don't want to disclose that information.
Understandable. Understandable.
Yeah, but I want to thank you for your service, Adam. And I want to just continue to tell you, just hang in there. And if you need love coming in. Everybody, I want to thank you for tuning into The Mediator. Next week, we're going to talk about the life of a politician with Kristen Olney. She is the author of a book. Have a good week, everybody, and enjoy your time and with your life and your family. And always remember to support a veteran and support us, me and Sparks.
That's right.
She's got her cowgirl hat on there.
Tips my hat.
I'm gonna finish shooting the bull with Sparks while we wait till the music comes in. So before we close out, have a good
week, everybody.
Peace.
Listening to News Talk 790 WPIC, Sharon Hermitage, a Cumulus station, sponsored by the Ridgewood at Shenango Valley, a premier senior living residence.
An arrest in the Ferguson police shooting. The subject of an HBO series is in custody. American workers dealing with Ebola are coming home. I'm Ann Cates. A 20-year-old man has been arrested in last week's shooting of 2 police officers in Ferguson, Missouri, thanks in part to tips from local residents. Correspondent Stephanie Elam has more.
What we're learning today, the fact that the police may have been working together with people from the community to figure out who this shooter was, is a huge point that perhaps things may be getting better. But as we've seen before, things can change quickly.
Robert Durst, the subject of a 6-part HBO documentary, has been arrested on murder charges. The series focuses on Durst's wealth, but also its possible connection to 3 murders. A court hearing will be held tomorrow in New Orleans, where Durst is being held. 10 healthcare workers are being evacuated from Sierra Leone after one of their colleagues was infected with Ebola. The 10 are being flown to the U.S. on non-commercial aircraft, but so far have no symptoms of the disease. They'll be taken to several hospitals. I'm Ann Cates. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are closing in on a $200 billion Medicare deal. Correspondent Bob Costantini has the details.
Every year, for 17 of them, Congress has had to enact a Medicare fix. In a 1997 budget deal, payments to providers and hospitals were supposed to rise by a rate tied to inflation. But with health care costs soaring and providers threatening to quit Medicare over low reimbursements, Congress annually puts the caps aside. Now, House negotiators may be ready to end the practice with a $200 billion deal that would fix the gap for 10 years minimum. Fiscal conservatives are likely to denounce it, but Democrats are expected to be for the compromise. Time is short, as the regular reimbursement rates would kick in on April 1st. Bob Costantini, Washington.
Also in Washington, the spotlight is on the Federal Reserve this week and the timing of interest rate hikes. Many analysts expect the Fed to no longer say it'll be patient about raising interest rates. That means short-term interest rates could increase as early as June for the first time since 2006. I'm Ann Cates.
Johnny wants to be a performer, and everybody knows school costs money. Johnny wants to know what he has to do to become a performer. Plus, he needs experience before he decides to spend the money for school. Johnny's confused. He has no one to talk to about his choices. He then hears an ad on the radio about Method8tor Arts Academy, where he can perform, network, train, and find a place to prepare for school. Johnny has found a place to expand his talents to make his decision and also increase his resume. Now, let's explain how Johnny got signed up. He went online to Method8inc.com and clicked on register. They called him back, asked him what his vision was, then found a place for him to perform. Whether it's theater, music, or movies, as long as Johnny is willing, Method8inc.com is able. And that's the story of how Johnny became a performer through Method8tor Arts Academy.
Before his death, John Lennon and Yoko Ono were celebrating the release of his album Double Fantasy just a few weeks earlier. Correspondent Steve Kastenbaum says a series of never-before-seen photos taken that year are now available for the first time.
Kishin Shinoyama is a renowned and controversial Japanese photographer who has shot everything from antiques to porn stars. His photo of John Lennon kissing Yoko Ono is one of his most recognizable works. It's the cover for the album Double Fantasy, which came out a few weeks before Lennon was killed. Shinoyama spent several days photographing the couple in 1980, and those pictures will be available for the first time in a limited edition book. A total of 1,980 copies signed by Shinoyama and Yoko Ono are available for $700 each. I'm Steve Kastenbaum in New York.
Cinderella has waltzed to the top of the box office. Disney's 2015 live-action version of Cinderella made more than $700 million in its opening weekend. I'm Ann Cates.